Between the early 1880s and 1995, over 150,000 Indigenous children were systematically taken from their families and were sent away to residential schools run by church organizations and funded by the Canadian government. The children were forbidden to speak their language and practice their culture. They were forced to assimilate into white Canada. I'm going to be talking about stories of kids who ran away from residential schools. The first story I'm going to be talking about is about an 11-year-old boy named Bernard Anderson from Stringer Hall Residential School in Inuvik. Him and his two buddies, Dennis Dick and Lawrence Jack Allenick, eventually had enough with the residential school and decided to run away in June of 1979. They had to travel through tough terrain, but were lucky enough to have tons of fresh berries that they found in the path. Since they were in the Arctic Circle, it was sunny 24/7 at that time of the year. Anderson said, "I was starting to go crazy after a few days of constant sunlight. I didn't know what time it was in the day." But early on in the trip, Allenick became very sick and wasn't able to move on, so Anderson decided to stay with him for a bit to rest, but Dennis Dick decided to keep moving. Anderson quickly realized that he couldn't wait for his friend forever, and he had to keep going. He eventually left him behind, and after 2 weeks of walking, he was about to give up when a helicopter flew right over his head and led him exactly to his home in Tuk. Soon after he returned home, a search party was sent out to find the two other boys. They have still never found the body of Dennis Dick, but they found Allenick at the exact same spot that Anderson left him. I'm now going to be talking about a boy named Cheney Wenjack, which is a very well-known story due to the book that was written after him. Cheney Wenjack went to Cecilia Jeffrey Indian Residential School in Ontario. I'm now going to show you a video of the Secret Path videos of when he ran away. October 16th, 1966 was the day that Cheney Wenjack and his two friends decided to run away from their residential school. They ran away during their time outside in the playground. When Cheney's mom and sister was asked why they believe that Cheney ran away from the residential school, they both said because he was probably lonely or sexually assaulted. I'm now going to show you another video from the Secret Path of what we can assume is Cheney being sexually assaulted. His body was found on the 23rd of October 1966 on the train tracks. He made it 60 kilometers away from the school before hunger and harsh weather got to him. The third story is about a boy named Percy Ochopowesi who went to Round Lake Residential School. Him and his two friends, Glenn Gaddy and Alec Wasakase, ran away on January the 13th, 1935. Unfortunately, right when they left, a big blizzard hit and they did not have the clothes for the weather, so it wasn't a good start for them. But Wasakase and Gaddy had to split up with Ochopowesi because they lived in two different towns. Wasakase and Gaddy walked for about an hour and a half and then got tired, so they decided to take a nap. When Wasakase woke up, he saw that Gaddy was covered in snow, so he got him up and then they looked around and saw a house in the distance. They ran to it and got shelter from a woman named Miss Belanger, who gave them food as well. The next day, they got to go home. But Percy was not as lucky. He still wasn't home and nobody knew where he was. They sent a search party out for him. But while this was happening, they were questioning the principal why he didn't inform the parents or anyone that the kids were missing. And he said, because I thought because of their age, they would be able to return home safely. But the kids were only 12, 10, and 13 years old. This shows that he didn't really have the time of day to tell anyone, or he didn't even know that they were even gone. Eventually, the body was found at the spot where the boys split up. He was covered in snow and frozen to the ground. The next story is about a girl named Tina Fontaine. She wasn't in a residential school, but she was in CFS care, which Aboriginal people say is the modern-day residential school.
15-year-old Tina Fontaine's body was pulled from the Red River in Winnipeg just over a month after she was placed in CFS care.
Tina Fontaine was in CFS care for no longer than a month, and they weren't even protecting or watching her. She ended up walking on the streets and being murdered. This is a video about two Aboriginal women explaining what they believe CFS really is.
About the past, repeat it. Are you ever afraid that they might do it again?
CFS
that the rates are the same or worse or better?
Worse, I see. Yeah, more children in care than ever.
The Canadian government created and helped run the residential school system, which was meant to kill the Indian in the child. After being forced to leave their families, many children suffered horrific abuses, such as rape, torture,